Yeah. MD, JPB, it's only right, baby.
Yeah, why you mad? I got a bad bro. Name hot in these streets, no Tabasco. But I'm so stuck, that's a fact, yo. And if you think I'm frontin', you can run it back, yo. Go on, run it back.
You know that I run it. Everything you wanna do, I already done it. And I got your little boo telling me she love me. I got this damn, it's gonna be a long night.
Hello guys, what is up? It is me, Prince of this, and I'm back here with another video. Today I am doing What If Asta Was Zoro. I hope you like the new thumbnail. And like I said in the community post, bro, Asta is gonna be destroying niggas, no lie. After this, I'm gonna do What If Naruto was Arthur's reincarnation, because I haven't done that in a while, and I really need to make a part 2. Yeah, let's just get right into it, and I'm gonna let you guys know I will be a bit faster in this part. I'm gonna speed things up a bit more because honestly I'm trying to figure out the right way to tell Black Clover stories. Going in depth isn't exactly the right way because Black Clover is so fast and fast paced, so there's no point in trying to tell a story when everything just moves so fast. So I'm not going to. I'm just gonna let you guys have fun, you know, be real quick, but you guys still get the details and all that. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So we started off with Asta stopping the attack on the Clover Kingdom by knocking out and capturing Rades. Then he was kind of sad and mad due to Fuegoleon being hurt and him not being able to do anything about it. But he got cheered up by Yuna, who told him to stop moping around. And then Asta tries to train again, but then he's asked by Finral to come to a mixer so that he can, you know, meet girls. Asta would meet Rebecca there, who she would save from a drunkard. So she invited him to her home, where Asta met Marie, Ghost's sister, and he played with her just like he did with Rebecca's siblings. But Ghost wasn't really happy about it and just kept attacking him. One thing led to another, and all the kids were abducted one night, and it started to snow for some reason. So Asta and Sister Teresa investigated and found 2 gangsters stealing the kids' magic. Asta would kill Baro, one of the gangsters, and Ghost defeats the snow magic user Neige. Then Sally comes and Asta destroys her as well, and then all of a sudden Asta has to block the kids and Sister Teresa from a light attack. So that's where we're starting our story from. Asta would stand in front of everyone stabbed by light spears as they would all be shocked. Seeing this, Ghost would grab Marie and run away, with her telling him to stop. Asta would then tense up his muscles, which makes the light spears just pop out, and he was only bleeding a little bit. Nothing much compared to what Mihawk did to me, thinks Asta. Teresa would then ask him if he was okay, and Asta says yeah, and this is when Lick drops down from a portal just like Sally did, and he would then instantly move to where she was, picking her up, and she's almost dead. Lick would then show a face of anger as he would start healing her, and then Valtos appears next to him as he hands him Sally, and you know, he teleports her away. So you're the one who's been hurting my people, says Lick. Asta would then say, bitch please, your people hurt my friends. Stop acting so smug. He would then point at Lick, then he starts to be sapped of magic, but he barely notices it because he has a lot of mana. Honestly, Asta does sap you of your magic, and he's like more used to using that technique here, but like it's very slow, so he doesn't notice it. So he just like, you know, charges at Asta, instantly appearing in front of him with a light sword as he slashes down with intent to kill. Asta would then block this with his demon slayer, trying to protect everyone as they would run out of Asta's way. Not so cheeky now, are you, says Lick. Asta would then kick him, and Lick would instantly feel pain in his chest as Asta had just caught him super fast using his demon slayer he just like brought out of nowhere. It'll be a cold day in hell before I let someone like you beat my swordsmanship, says Asta. Lick would then disappear and appear a few feet away, healing himself, as Valtos would want to step in, but Lick says no. I took you too lightly, but now you will die, says Lick. He would then start to throw a bunch of like light spears towards Asta, who would be cutting them in half, not attacking yet because he still is waiting for Teresa and everyone to get to safety. He doesn't want to be like hindered. Asta would then look back, yelling, get out of here, I got this. Teresa would then think about this and leave because she knows she's getting in Asta's way, and he seems very capable. He just can't go out all out because they're there. She also takes Neige with her, and as soon as they leave, Asta's face changes and Lick notices this, when all of a sudden Asta would just start rushing at him while parrying his attacks to the side. Lick has no choice but to leap and fly away while avoiding Asta, but Asta doesn't stop chasing him. Soon, Asta would dodge his light spears and slash an anti-magic wave at him. Lick would avoid this, knowing his abilities, but when he does, Asta stabs him from the back. How did he? Asta would then rip out his sword as Lick would get mad, creating a light whip as he starts attacking Asta up close. Asta parries this and cuts through the light whip, cutting him on the cheek slightly. Lick then brings down his whip once more with terrifying and incredible force, but Asta cuts through it again, and when Lick goes to dodge, he gets cut on the chest again. Then Asta would kick him away as he's in midair, and he sees Asta coming down at him with a huge slash. Yitori Daishinkan. He would then slash down with a swift yet powerful motion as Lake was going to just speed away, but he can't, and all of a sudden, he feels a huge amount of pressure just hit him. Somehow he manages to avoid this attack, but as soon as he does, Asta appears in front of him with the sword thrust, and he would make a shield of light, but it disappears. What the hell is going on with that magic, thinks Licht. Asta would then roundhouse kick him in the jaw using Haki as he slams into the walls of the cave, breaking a little bit. And what Licht doesn't notice is that Asta has been draining him of his magic while they were fighting, but now he does, he's noticing it. So he gets out of the wall, healing himself. Man, you are one tough bastard, aren't you, says Asta. But still, I gotta say, this is pretty fun. He would then take out his Demon Slayer again, and he puts his swords in a cross formation in front of him towards his enemy. However, this is when Lick just disappears and reappears in front of Valtos as he tells him they need to get the fuck out of here now. Asta would then get serious, just like running at them, and he throws his Demon Slayer at the two, but as he does, Valtos and Lick fall through the portal, letting Asta's sword just get stuck in a wall. Damn it! Now I have to go over there and get it, says Asta. This is when the sword would actually yank itself out of the wall and start heading towards Asta, who grabs his handle and he gets shocked. This is when Ghosh and Theresa run back in, trying to help, and Theresa yells, "Don't worry, we're here to help." They would then see the cave destroyed and Asta just standing in front of them as he says, "Don't worry, I took care of them." They would then be so confused and so shocked that they actually froze up for a while because they saw how fast that magic attack was. They literally could not keep up with it, and Asta seemed really injured, but somehow he powered through. So that's something. Asta had to actually shake them back just to see if they were okay. Are y'all good? It was just a little fight. And then they went to bring the kids back home. Neige was then taken into custody for his crimes, and everyone returned to the Clover Kingdom. And as Asta arrives, he's told to go to the castle. He meets Marks, who leads Asta down somewhere in the area, and they go down to a basement. And as they're going down a bunch of stairs, Marks asks, "So how did you manage to beat that powerful enemy? The Wizard King told me he might have been even faster than him." "I just slashed at him a lot," responds Asta. Marks would then be laughing, saying that was quite a simple answer, and Asta says, honestly, that's all he did. He just used his swords. So they keep heading down to the basement, and they enter a room at the bottom, and there Asta sees the Wizard King as well as a bunch of prisoners just, held up, and they're being restrained. Asta would then say, "Hello, sir." Julius would then welcome him, saying that he needs help with, he needs help disabling some magic that's protecting these people from spilling secrets. Asta would then look at Rades as well as a bunch of other people from the Midnight Sun in front of them, and he would approach the attackers who are being bound by magic, and he taps them all on the head, dispelling the spell that's protecting them. With this, Marks finally starts interrogating them seriously, and as he did this, the captains would enter the room, and Asta greeted the captains as they all looked at him with interest. Julius would then ask the attackers which one of the people among them was a traitor, and they all pointed to the captain of the Purple Orchis. The captain would get flustered, saying that he would never betray the kingdom. However, everyone sees through his facade, and this is when he has no choice but to run away. He turns invisible, instantly making all the captains panic, and when they start, panicking, they're just hit by invisible forces. "Yo, Asta, cancel his magic or something," yells Yami. Asta was already on this as he would use his keen senses to dodge the invisible army, swiftly disarming them, and then he slammed his hilt on something invisible, which then revealed itself to be the captain of the Purple Orchis, and he was passed out. The captain of the Praying Mantises would find Asta impressive, as with the other captains. Rill, who led the Aquadeers, would then ask him how he did what he did, curious as to how he dodged something that was invisible, and how he caught something that was invisible. Asta would then blankly respond, saying, "I felt the changes in the wind, and when they swung on me, I just dodged and hit them." The captains would just be impressed more that he did that just using his senses, and Julius goes on to reveal more of the Purple Orchis captain's crimes, and hearing these crimes disgusted everyone in the room because they thought he was on their side, legitimately. So after hearing the crimes, Julius makes the decision that they cannot reveal this to the public, and everyone agrees. Then they all leave, but Asta and Yami are called into Julius's office, and as they stand in front of Julius, he asks Asta how the leader of the Midnight Sun was, and how did he beat him. Asta would then say, I used my cursed sword to absorb his mana while we fought, thus weakening him during the fight, so he had no choice to leave eventually. You can absorb magic? Well, that's news, says Yami. Asta would then go more in depth about the enemy's abilities, and then Julius gives the Black Bulls a mission to recover the stones that the Midnight Sun might be after and get them before they do. They are told to head to one of the Grand Zones of Magic, the Water Temple. So then we cut to the Black Bulls at the beach. Everyone is just running around doing their own thing. You know, Magna and Luck are just fighting like usual. Rebecca was sunbathing and just relaxing, and Asta was just sleeping under an umbrella. But while he was sleeping, he actually was talking to Zoro. So we used to be pirates, says Asta. Zoro would then say, yeah, kid. And before that, I used to hunt pirates, so it's kind of crazy how things turned out. They would just keep talking and laughing, as Zoro told them old stories and about how he acquired each of his swords and some of his techniques, and actually going more in depth about hockey and what it actually is. So Asta actually knows what hockey is now, and he finds it kind of amazing that they have this ability to do what they can do. And as they're talking, however, Asta would feel weird as he just returned to the real world and he was actually in the ground. What the hell is going on, asked Asta. What's going on is you guys ain't doing shit, says Yami. Yami would then say that unlike them, he's actually been doing some work and he knows where to find the water temple. But to enter, they need Noel's magic. Yami then tells her to surpass her limits and do it fast because they only have a few days before they head down. This would put a lot of pressure on Noel, who would then say that she will try her best. And a few days pass by as Noelle is getting help from the team, how to control her magic and all of that. Honestly though, it's not going as well as she expected, but she's still making progress. She's still persevering through and through, and soon as she's training, she sees Asta, who is swinging his sword like close to her, and she was on another side of the beach. As Asta was swinging, he would be hearing Zoro's voice in his mind because he was helping him train. Oh come on, you can do better than that. Asta would then swing once more, creating a shockwave that splits the roaring oceans right in front of him. Seeing this, Noel will be amazed as Asta then notices her, and he asks her if she wants any help. And even though she's acting in a typical tsundere fashion, she admits that she does need help. So as she agrees to Asta's help, they both hear a melody, and they see a girl not that far away from them, and she's just singing. This girl named Kahono would then end up becoming their friend, and she also helps Noel with her magic more. And Asta was there, so Noelle could go all out, and Asta would stop her if she lost control. They would keep training and training until time is up, and Kahono leaves, promising to meet them again soon. So when the time came, everyone gathered up, and it was time to go to the water temple. And she actually concentrates and uses her new magic, Sea Dragon's Cradle, and this impresses everyone as they head down to the bottom of the sea, seeing wonderful and incredible things. And as they're amazed, this is when, Noelle has to go through some really annoying crap. The natural currents of the ocean, just having to get past them while keeping everyone safe, but she does manage to do so. And yeah, they also came across a whirlpool made of mana, and this is when Yami grabs Asta, saying, kid, it's your turn. He would then throw Asta out of the Sea Dragon's Cradle, and he heads out while holding his breath, and as he does, he takes out his two swords and slashes at the whirlpool in a cross motion. This will get rid of the whirlpool in an instant, and Asta lands somewhere where he can breathe. So he figures they must have arrived, where they're supposed to. Noelle would then land with everyone else, letting everyone just look around, and this is when the sea dwellers come out to see them. And seeing that they're clearly land dwellers, the sea people are a bit excited, and they're actually magic knights, so that's even better. Ami would then step up to one of them, asking where their leader is in an intimidating fashion, but even though he was acting like that, they still, trust him because he's a magic knight, and they point to a certain tower. This is where the Black Bulls head to, and they get over there, cutting a gate because it was made of magic, I believe. I don't know if I'm right about that. If I'm not, tell me in the comments. So Asta would cut the gate because it was made of magic, and as he cuts the gate, the team would then see a giant sea creature. This freaks out most of them as Magna and Luck then kill it to bits. However, as they do this, the monster turns into an old man who seemed very creepy. This old man was actually in charge and was the high priest, and Yami asks him about the stones in, once again, an intimidating manner. Oh, so you want the magic stones, eh? Then you're gonna have to play a little game with me. He would then start creeping up at the girls who smack him to the curb, and he says that he was just joking, but he really does want them to play a game, and the team actually starts thinking about this. However, Asta just says he wants to play the game because he guesses it includes fighting. Soon the whole team would want to fight too, and using his gamer magic, the High Priest introduces everyone's opponents who just appear out of nowhere. Then after looking at their enemies, they get a bit mocked, especially Asta, because he doesn't have magic, but he's kind of used to this by now. The High Priest then uses his magic shuffle, his magic temple shuffle as his magic spell to make everyone split up and fall into the ground into different places. As Asta falls and lands safely, he looks around, excited to meet his opponent. Now back to Yami, he is kind of mad at the priest for not letting him fight, but the priest says he's a captain, so there's no point in letting him fight. So he won't let me fight because I'm too strong, says Yami. Correct, now drink with me, says the High Priest. Yami would then be distracted by the sake and get over his anger quickly, as he and the High Priest just watch his team fight. So as Asta is walking around, he finds a man wearing an octopus mask who doubts Asta's abilities, and Asta would then take out his demon dweller, saying, "When are you people gonna learn?" He would then appear behind the man in an instant, knocking him out with just his hilt. Magic isn't everything in a fight. The priest would then be shocked, asking Yami what rank his magic knights are, and Yami says that even though Charmy and Asta are a bit ahead of everyone, their ranks do not actually reflect their true strength. They would then watch as the Black Bulls actually fight like crazy and doing way better than the priest expected. Asta would then move forward, just meeting sea monsters who he beats easily with no efforts, not actually even using his sword to use his North sword style, and just uses his hand covered in hockey. He keeps doing this until he meets another guy with a mask. "So you're my next opponent," says Asta. The man would then look at him confused, saying, "How are you gonna fight me? Honestly, I sense no power from you." Asta would then appear right in front of the man, slashing down as he is then forced to block with both his little swords, and Asta says that he's really tired of people just going on about magic. The man would then jump away panting as he is impressed by Asta, and he apologizes for disrespecting him like that, especially since he's a fellow swordsman. He would then take off his mask willingly as he considers Asta strong and introduces himself as Kyoto. Kyoto and Asta would then brush at each other, with Kyoto unable to beat Asta. Even using his dance, it did nothing because not only did Asta disrupt the dance, he completely overwhelms him in every way. Kyoto would then have one of his swords smacked away as he tries to block one of Asta's swings, and Asta then puts his sword at Kyoto's neck. "So you want to keep going?" asks Asta. Kyoto would then drop his other sword, yielding as Asta puts his sword back in his grimoire. Kyoto would then ask him how he does what he does, and honestly, he can't use magic, so how does he do what he does? Asta has actually not used anti-magic or hockey at all. He's only using physical strength and his actual swordsmanship, because Zoro told him to be less reliant on those things, because he's a swordsman first before he uses any weird stuff like hockey and anti-magic, which Zoro still doesn't know what the hell that is. Asta would then, describe his training and why he's so strong, and Kyoto was shocked. "Wow, no wonder I lost. You are freakishly strong, man." Asta would then thank him, saying that he also found his dance very interesting, and they would talk a bit about techniques. However, this is when soon they would both hear Yami's voice saying that the temple is under attack, and that he can't really help them right now, but he is coming. "We're likely being attacked by the Eye of the Midnight Sun, so be on guard," yells Yami. He then wishes his people good luck as all the Black Bulls hear him, and those like Kahono and Noel who were fighting each other gladly teamed up and started to try to find the others and the enemy. Asta and Kyoto would do the same, as would Magna and Luck. However, as they're fighting their opponent and they're getting ready to go find the others, their opponent would actually be beat by a beast magic user. And as this happens, they have to fight this monster, and Asta and Kyoto are trying to find them. And the other Black Bulls are trying to meet up, like Ghost, Charmy, Gray. They're trying to meet up. However, due to a certain flaw from his past life, Asta kept getting mostly lost, with Kyoto having to find him and put him on the right path, meaning that they're actually going to be a bit late, so Magna and Luck are going to have to hang in a bit longer. Time skip a few minutes, and Asta starts to hear the screams of his teammates. "This way," yells Asta. "No offense, man, but you're really not good with directions," yells Kyoto. Asta would then say that he can trust him this time, and Kyoto takes a leap of faith. And this leap of faith actually leads them to Luck and Magna, who are still fighting the beast magic user. Due to not wanting to be beat by their junior, they have actually trained way more and increased their power way more, but it still wasn't enough to beat Veto, and they were thrown into walls of the cave, making them pass out and they're bleeding a bit. Asta, seeing this, would then run to his senpais to check if they're okay, and luckily they're still breathing. Asta would then look at Veto, pissed, as he and Kyoto run at him full speed. Instantly, Veto swats away Kyoto, but as he tries to do the same to Asta, his arm is cut off, and Asta appears behind him. "Oh, you're way better than I thought," says Veto. Asta would then turn around to see him regenerate, and Veto appears right above him, covered in a blood-red magical energy, and he goes to slam a punch down at Asta. However, Asta dodges this and rushes back at him, instantly forcing him to block with his beast magic. However, he would then be kicked in the stomach, and he didn't think this would hurt that much, but it actually hurt a lot, and he got sent into a wall, and now he's pissed. He would slowly start to get up, saying, "How the hell is a magicless loser like you hitting me? Training. Lots and lots of it," says Asta. "Nitoryu Daishinkan." Instantly, Veto's arm, his other arm is cut off, and this distracts him for a split second, which was way more than enough time for Asta to attack again. He appears right next to him, thrusting his sword forward, and he just barely manages to dodge this, getting a cut on his cheek. Asta would then hit the wall behind him, breaking it, as Vito starts to regenerate his other arm, and he lands a punch in Asta's side. They would then keep going back and forth, tearing up the place, as Kyoto did not want to intervene. Honestly, it would make things just worse, so he just looks at after Magna as well as luck. This is when Vito really starts enhancing himself, no longer holding back, and Asta has to rely on his physical strength way more, which is nothing to laugh at. He is Zoro's reincarnation. Zoro can literally send you flying by just waving his arms really fast. So yeah, it is something he's been working on for a while, so Vito would actually have to have a bit of a tough fight. He would make a claw with his magic and go to slash down at Asta, who blocks it with one of his swords. Vito then uses another claw to go slash at him again, but Asta brings out a second sword, blocking it as well, and then he just kicks him in the jaw. He then takes advantage of this, going at Vito and just cutting him over and over relentlessly. If there is one thing Asta has learned from his past life, it's to never stop attacking until victory is guaranteed. And now being in this world, which has showed him how conniving people can actually really be with their magic, he does not want to give him a leeway at all. Plus, he's one of the reasons why his friends are hurt. "This time, I will make my victory perfect," thinks Asta. He will then cover his swords in hockey, making them purple, as he then cuts across Veto's chest. And at this point, he was all bloody, all over, like, just bloody, and he was so disoriented that he couldn't do shit. Asta then rushed at him, saying, "Nana Juni, pound the hole." He then appears behind Vito as Noel and Kahono arrive on the scene, and Vito just bursts with blood, getting so many cuts that it looks like overkill. Then he is cut to pieces, like literal pieces, horrifying everyone, and he just is dead. But they understand why he did it. This guy is a legitimate psychopath. Like, yeah, he just deserves that. There's no guarantee that he wouldn't have come back anyway. They don't know what they're capable of, so it's a good thing that Asta actually did what he did. Asta then looks at his sword and sees that there is no blood on it, and he gets super excited. You might have been wondering why I keep making that a common thing. Zoro was pretty fast enough to just cut people, and you basically don't see his sword stained at all. That's a really high level of, like, swordsmanship, as shown in shows like Naruto as well. Like, that samurai, he was really good. He could literally cut you and you would see no blood on his sword, and he was just that fast. So that's why Asta is excited, because it shows that he's grown. "I guess you didn't need us," says Kahona. Asta would then turn to see the two as he says hi, and they get all happy seeing each other. And the most dangerous guy has been taken care of, so that's good. The other Black Bulls would then arrive on the scene, and they see that they really aren't needed. And they also learn that once again, Asta is taking care of everything. "Wow, he never fails to surprise me," says Vanessa. "Yeah, honestly, he's too strong for someone with no magic," says Ghosh. So everyone would take a look at Luck and Magna, seeing that they're actually starting to regain consciousness. However, this is when Veto starts turning into a ticking time bomb. His body kind of mangled, flying into the air, and he's trying to blow up. Asta would then go to take care of the rest. However, this is when Yami arrives, telling Asta that he's done more than enough. He then breaks out his dimensional slash, just ending everything, as we cut to a few days later when everyone is resting. After everything that happened, those who sustained injuries just rested and just waited around, with Asta mostly sleeping and still talking to his past self. All the sea dwellers had been mostly praising the Black Bulls because of their efforts, and so they're pretty famous right now. Soon the team would then go back to land, as Asta would Asta would pray at Veto's grave, but there's barely any of him left. But he still is glad he met Veto, because he has taught him not to play around in the fight. That's an important lesson, especially against people like Veto, who can pull tricks like self-destruction. So Yami also got the magic stone from the high priest, of course, and then everyone goes home. Now after going back to the hideout, everyone just chills because they are tired as fuck. Oh my god. And a few things have changed, with Grace showing her true face, because he was a her, not a he. And as everyone was just celebrating and calming down and chilling, Charming and Asta had to actually accompany Yami to meet Julius. And there Yami tells Julius what happened and how Asta destroyed Veto. They turn in the magic stones and blah blah blah. Julius then congratulates Asta, just not knowing what to say at this point, because this kid is too strong. Every obstacle that comes in his way, he keeps cutting to fucking shreds. Asta would then say thanks, blushing a bit as everyone looks at him, thinking that yeah, this kid is too strong. He is literally impossible. He's an impossible thing. However, as they're thinking about this, they then see Asta's pupils slightly flash red as he turns around saying, "We're under attack." "What?" asked Julius. Marx then, using his magic, would appear, telling everyone, like, on a screen, that they're under attack from the Diamond Kingdom. Charmy would then ask, "How the heck did you know that?" I just got a feeling," responds Asta. Julius would then find this interesting as he asks Marx exactly how many people are attacking them. Using his magic, he would show them how many people there are. This was actually quite the conundrum because there must have been like 100 mages in the sky, but this is when the Golden Dawn arrives as Asta sees his brother Yuno on the scene with what looks like a fairy at his side. "Damn, Yuno," thinks Asta. Seeing that the Diamond Kingdom is clearly gonna attack, a barrier is right there around the kingdom, but this barrier is broken by the Diamond Mages who attack the kingdom, creating chaos. However, Yuno, who was on the scene, started attacking, taking control of the situation, blasting away most of the Diamond Mages, and he is way stronger than the original canon, so take that into account. "How do you like me now, Asta?" thinks Yuno. Asta, watching Yuno, then tells Yami that he gotta go right now. He then ran out one of the windows, breaking it as he yells, full of excitement. He then lands on one of the buildings as he would see a bunch of mages just riding in the sky. And using Flying Phoenix, he cuts 3 of them down, only using wind pressure. And the Diamond Mages see this. Asta would then see Nero land on his shoulder as he keeps going forward, just cutting down mages from the sky with ease. "Get the hell out of my kingdom," yells Asta. As Asta yells this, he throws an anti-magic wave at 2 more flying mages, and they try to stop this attack, but they were too slow and get cut down, and their magic honestly can't do crap against it. Asta would then hear Charmy saying that she wants him to help her and Finro evacuate people. So he stops and goes to help Charmy evacuate people out. However, as he is doing this, Yuno would arrive, just like, after beating an enemy himself. "How goes it?" asks Asta. "Who's this guy?" asks Belle, who is, the sylph, the wind spirit. Yuno would then say that that's his brother. They used to live together, study together, and they were very close. This would make Belle very jealous, and she then goes to insult Asta, but honestly, she has nothing to insult him on. The man's tall, he's handsome, looks like a freaking strong ass fighter. I'm not trying to suck his dick, and I'm not being gay here. Zoro is an awesome dude. So, but then she realizes that he has no magic, and she asks, "You're really the same guy who just took down all those mages?" "Well, yeah, who else would it be?" responds Asta. This would confuse Belle, as Yuno then says that he can create air slices just with his freaking physical strength, and he has anti-magic. This only makes her more confused as she doesn't see how that's possible with just her physical strength, and she doesn't know what the hell anti-magic is, but from hearing it, she kind of guesses what it is. So this is when Charmy comes in, giving Yuno some food, and more shenanigans ensue. Finro will then hear a voice all too familiar, and he turns around to see his little bro. Langris would then say, "What are you doing out here? For the failure of our family to be out here is kind of embarrassing." Finro would then not be able to say anything back to him because he knows it's kind of true, and everyone thought that Langris was kind of a jerk. Asta would then release a lot of bloodlust, getting mad on Finro's behalf. However, becoming more and more like his past self over the days, this doesn't really bother him because he just views Langris as a whiny child. "Don't let him get you down, Finro, let's just go," says Asta. Yuno would then be surprised, saying, "Who are you and what have you done with Asta?" Asta would then get mad as he and Yuno get in an argument, and Langris just scoffs at them. Asta would then sense something again as a diamond mage with slime magic just arrives on the scene, having a bunch of magic knights trapped in this huge slime monster that looks like sticky salamander that Sally uses. Langris would then see his fellow magic knights ask for help, obviously scared, but he says he has no choice but to kill them along with the enemy. As he says this though, he feels a tap on his shoulder as he then turns around shocked, and Asta is right next to him. "Hey, calm down, there's no need to be so reckless, you idiot." "What the hell?" thinks Langris. Asta would then tell everyone that he's gonna go save those people and to back him up if he needs it. He then lunges at this massive slime and he covers himself entirely in hockey, turning his skin completely black. "What the hell is he?" yells Langris. When Asta gets closer to the mage, he sends a bunch of tendrils of slime at him, but as it touches Asta, it just disappears, shocking the mage. "What the hell are you crazy people?" "Oh, that's ironic considering who you are," says Asta. "But I'll humor you." He would then thrust his Demon Slayer sword so fast and so freaking precise at the diamond mage that it leaves a hole in his chest, and he looks down in shock. This would then get rid of the slime, freeing the magic knights as Asta puts his sword away and lands. "We're magic knights from the Black Bulls." The man would then die out choking on his own blood as he just dies. Show off, yells Yuno. Asta would then yell back, says the guy who made the most extravagant entrance ever. Langris would then just be baffled that he took care of that maid so easily in a way he couldn't, but his pride as a noble would not let him accept Asta or his brother. Finral would then look at him and says that he admits that he is weak right now, but he will find a way to get stronger and help the Black Bulls beat the Golden Dawn one day. This would piss off Langris, who would go to talk to Yuno as the Black Bulls are helping out the mages and evacuating more people. You should really stop hanging out with that vulgar bunch. Aren't you embarrassed by them? Yuno would then look at him laughing as he says, "Why would I be embarrassed of my own brother? I never thought of Asta as lesser than me. He's my rival." Langris would then laugh, asking what they're competing for, and Yuno says that they're competing for the title of the Wizard King. This would make Langris laugh even more, saying that they are dreaming if they think that's really gonna happen, and he's just pissing everyone off. But Yuno shuts him up, saying that there is nothing wrong with commoners being the Wizard King, and before he becomes the Wizard King, he actually wants to be the captain of the Golden Dawn. He just said that just to mess with Langris because nobody likes Langris. So in the end, everything gets solved, kinda, with Yami now finding out the truth about Captain Vanjan's, the captain of the Golden Dawn's true identity, and the relationship is a bit weird now. Not that they really had a relationship to begin with. So in this timeline, Asta will not have cursed or mangled arms. Instead, most people will be trying to get stronger, not trying to help him get healed. They notice that Asta is stronger than them, and they're trying to catch up. Even Yami feels threatened by him because Asta's swordsmanship is way more crazy and just more of a master level than his, actually beyond his, and he trained so hard that he wants to surpass his limits and beat him. Everyone else would agree. Vanessa would still ask her mother how to deal with ancient curses, but she's asking for training, not to heal Asta. She just wants to get stronger. And she brings Asta, Noel, and Finral with her because she doesn't trust her mother. I mean, who would trust this face? Seriously. So, yeah, she brought them along for backup in case anything happens. And they stand in front of a powerful witch, the queen of the witches, as everyone feels her huge amount of magic and understand why she brought them along. "So you want me to help you," says the queen. "Yes, I want to get stronger. I need to get stronger. This is a one-time thing. I will not be coming back. Just please help me with this one thing." The queen would then look at her, releasing a lot of bloodlust as she says, "And I'm assuming those people behind you are your friends, correct?" Vanessa would then get in a protective stance, as would everyone else, but Asta doesn't really care, which intrigues the queen. "What are you? Clearly you have no magic, yet I sense incredible power from you." As Vanessa stays on guard, she's then startled by a flock of birds that appear out of nowhere, restraining her, and it kind of hurts her a bit. Asta then instantly swings his sword in the direction of the birds, making them just like sweep away from Vanessa without hurting her. "What the hell are you doing? She's your own daughter," yells Asta. The queen would then look at Vanessa, who is on the ground, and she calls her inadequate, with Asta only hating this woman more and more. The queen would then sense mages approaching her territory, and she looks at her crystal ball. Asta would then sense the attackers like before, and he tells the queen that they will help her, but she will also have to help Vanessa out. It's, we give you some help, you help us out. She would then agree despite showing some mixed emotions. We then cut to the diamond mages in the sky as we see Mars, and he's preparing to eradicate everything. Then on the other side of the witch's kingdom comes Fauna, one of the third eye, with her people, and she wants revenge for her fallen comrade. The witches would then start attacking the enemy to no avail as they get either captured or beaten with ease. Pretty soon things seem dire for the witches, and this is when Asta and the other Black Bulls just arrive on the scene, and they help the witches out. Asta would be flying into the air with Vanessa's strings, as then it cuts up one of the diamond mages. Doing this, he saves one of the witches, who then insults him because witches have a bit of prejudices against men in this world. And Asta says, "Jeez, I just saved her life. You think she'd be more grateful?" Vanessa would then apologize for their rudeness, and he then jumps up, cutting down another mage after another with ease, and he throws out multiple anti-magic wave slashes. And soon, he comes face to face with Fauna as she then throws a huge fireball at him. "You're the one who killed Vetto, aren't you?" However, while in mid-air as she attacks, Asta absorbs the attack with his demon dweller as he spins around, sending it right back at her in a slash attack. She would then be hit as Asta starts falling down, and Finral helps him land with a portal. As he lands, Fauna, who was hit, would then be even more mad. "How dare you!" She would then use her magic, creating a huge claw of fire that would go to hit the area and just destroy the Black Bulls. But Asta cuts through these attacks and he launches towards her, and then in an instant her salamander dissipates for a moment as she starts to fall. Vanessa then, using her multiple strengths, pulls Fauna closer to Asta as he slashes at her, but she gets covered in a suit of armor made of minerals, which shocks Asta as it reminds him of someone very familiar. However, he does not have time to hesitate, and he doesn't, as he just already has dealt with this before, so he cuts through the armor, reaching Fauna's stomach. That magic won't work on me anymore, says Asta. Fauna then jumps down, summoning her salamander again, as she starts to heal herself while she sends mineral swords at the Black Bulls. Now, as this fight is continuing, we cut to Asta's master, Kruger. He came as well because he was hoping to meet one of his students and fix his mistakes, because he used to teach Mars and Fauna. He would then be backed up by a few more witches who try to retake the fight from the Diamond Mages. Now we go back to the Black Bulls as Noelle joins the fight, and at this point Fauna is completely beaten. Asta's attacks are just way too fast and way too strong. So seeing as she has no choice, she fires the most gigantic attack she can at specifically Asta. And the other Black Bulls can't really intervene fast enough, and the attack is way too fast. "You gotta dodge it," yells Noelle. This is when Kruger and Mars actually arrive, having dealt with their issues and dealt with Ladros, who did not agree with their reconciliation. "Asta, no!" yells Kruger. However, this is when Asta reacts fast as he slashes towards the humongous fireball, actually copying Yami a bit, as he then adds his own style to it. "Nitoriya Daishinkan." The fireball would then be cut right down the middle as Fauna's shoulder just bursts with blood and she falls down. Meanwhile, her attack just dissipates and Asta just laughs, being relieved that actually worked. "I see you've grown stronger," says Kruger. Asta would then turn to see his master and is surprised that he's here, and he brought Mars with him. The other Black Bulls are relieved that their friend is okay, and Mars would then tell Asta that today he's not here as an enemy, he's here to actually help them out. "Your actions are what really matters, so show me you're not an enemy," says Asta. Kruger would then be proud of Asta since he sounds so commanding and he seems so much more mature, but he's also not like a bad person, he sounds nice. This is when Mars would see Fauna and they would recognize each other. Mars would freak out a bit, but Asta snaps him out of it as Mars and him managed to bring her out of her rage state. Mostly Mars, because they have that type of relationship. So Mars would get her out of her rage state, and he thanks Asta for believing in him and helping them out. So they shake on it, with both their clothes kind of being burned now due to the fight. So with Fauna having regained consciousness, she says hi to Kruger for the first time in a while, as she calls him master, and so does Mars. "What, he was your master too?" "I used to be a sort of teacher, not that I was really proud of it," says Kruger. So everything is fine, the fight is over, the Diamond Kingdom is almost beaten, when all of a sudden, Asta's eyes turn red, and this is of course, yes, the observation haki. It's starting to show a lot more since he's constantly just being in fights now, so his body is just adapting and bringing out his skill set. He always could use observation haki, but it was in small bursts, but now he's like actually seeing the enemy. He could actually see the enemy heading towards them, and he could see a huge amount of magic heading towards them, clear as day. He yells at everyone to get down, and as they hear this, a bunch of fire attacks head for them as Noelle creates a water barrier covering everyone, and then the attack hits. Ladros then lands as he starts cackling, and the steam clears from his attack. And out of the steam, Asta just lunges at this new enemy, thrusting forward into his chest. He did this so fast that Ladros just could not keep up at all, and right now in his chest is Asta's Demon Dweller sword. "What the hell? How did you survive?" Asta then points behind to Noelle, who would have her magic barrier up, and Ladros gets scared as he instantly just starts begging for mercy, with Asta not giving a fuck. "Time for your execution," says Asta. He would then go to cut him, but Ladros manages to escape with the last of his strength, and he takes Fauna hostage. Things then go to Kennen as he makes Fauna hit him out of anger as he tries to kill Mars. This time though, Asta saves him, but Fauna has already hit Ladros, which made him gain almost immeasurable power. As Asta then pulls his Demon Dweller back into his hands out of Ladros' chest, he gets ready to attack, but he gets shot right in the shoulder instantly. What the hell? This barely phases him though, as he then covers himself in haki, completely turning black once again, but Ladros' attacks are just way too fast. Asta would then find himself in a memory as he uses a technique called observation hockey, and as he sees this in his memories, he starts dodging Ladros' strikes in real life, which shock him. Like I said, it's time for your execution. He would then go on to fight Ladros and beat him just like in the original, but he's not using his black form as he does not need it. He is just going into overdrive. His body kind of hurting, but he don't give a damn. He completely dodges all his attacks. Not even, yeah, he just destroys him. And the queen watching this is shocked because she senses a power in him, but he's not even using it. But even without the power, he's still really strong. So soon the fight ends with Asta winning, but when it comes down to it, he could not kill Ladros. Just like his master, he wanted to believe that he could change. So when he actually chose to spare his life, Ladros completely actually changed and wanted to redeem himself. Asta would then be happy as Noelle deactivated her water barrier, and she kept it up to protect everyone from like the surrounding damage. And she fell down due to mana exhaustion, she was just tired as hell. She would then see Asta put a thumbs up as she would do the same, and Asta would then look at his hand, surprised that he could use a power like that, and it was just an amazing feeling. Wow, I really used to be strong, thanks to Asta. He then decides that when he gets back home, he's got to train this. Like, he's a training junkie. After feeling that, he wants to have that feeling again. However, this is when things get a little bit tricky. The queen does still arrive, putting Asta under her control, as she then forces his demon transformation. She uses her blood magic to then tie everyone up and tries to make Asta kill them. Asta finally sees the anti-magic demon, and honestly, it is a weird moment for him, but he still doesn't know what is happening, and he tries to keep control. Actually not hurting his friends or even getting close to them. He fights the control to the point where he hurts his own body, actually bleeding all over. He is stopping his body from moving forward, and it hurts like hell. While the queen kept trying to control him, he only thought of one thing in his mind: I will not hurt my friends, my crew. Seeing how much Asta is suffering just trying not to attack them, this is when Vanessa develops her new magic that controls fate. With this, she completely stops the queen, thus deactivating Asta's black form as he gets free, but he passes out. The queen then, feeling defeated, started to leave, but as she goes to leave, she feels a huge amount of bloodlust that just hits her. She looks back to see Asta, and he was barely conscious. Like, he's actually unconscious, but he's standing. He was unconscious, but it's like those anime moments where he is unconscious, but he is still standing. And he pointed at her saying, "Never come near us again." He then actually falls to the ground, bloody, as his friends check him, also having felt that weird amount of just weird bloodlust. We then cut to a few days later when Asta would wake up in his bed and he is all bandaged up. Damn, that was crazy. I guess we're back home now. He would then get out of bed to see everyone being their usual selves. Hey guys, how goes it? Noelle would then be all tsundere, not trying to show that she cares, but she does. Asta would then ask Yami if they're going to be doing any missions. Everyone would then yell, "Absolutely not." "Kid, you need to take a break," says Yami. "But I have this new move I want to try out," says Asta. Yami would then say that he needs to chill. Besides, there's a festival coming up, so, I mean, you like food, right? So, chill out. Let's just relax for once in a while. So, the Black Bulls go to the festival, and they started acting like they usually do. They don't give a damn. They're just drinking sake or whatever the hell, especially Vanessa. Asta and Noelle then meet Kyoto and Kahono, who this time have not lost their leg or voices, so everything's cool. As a matter of fact, when they found the two, they were performing on the streets, and that's when they went to say hi. Kahono would then try to set up Asta and Noelle by proposing a double date, but it's safe to say it did not exactly work out. They did have fun, but Asta, after hearing a bit more about his past self and starting to become more like his past self, he does know about relationships and he doesn't want one as it is too restrictive and he finds it annoying. So when Kahono asks Asta what Noelle is to him, he just says, yeah, she's just a friend, which kind of makes Noelle mad, but honestly, well, who cares? Sorry. I kind of hate Noelle, but yeah, Asta just doesn't like her that way yet, so yeah. So everyone enjoys the festival with Noelle still meeting that little girl and giving her speech, and then Julius steps out of his castle making an appearance. Julius then introduces the captains who step out as people start cheering for them, all of them except Yami because that nigga is out there in the festival drinking some sake. "Thank you all for being present. Now I shall present the ranks this year. He then mentions the Golden Dawn being in first place, showing that their achievements have been actually greater than last year, and yeah, they broke the record from last year. I would like to introduce Yuno, who has recently joined the Golden Dawn and has made very, very amazing achievements. Everyone would then see Yuno with his wind spirit and see how cool he is, and everyone just starts cheering, with girls fangirling because it's Yuno. Some members of the Golden Dawn aren't really happy about this, like the vice captain, but those like Klaus and Mimosa are. Then Julius mentions who took second place, and it was the Black Bulls, which shocked all the Black Bulls and all the civilians. At first they don't believe it, thinking it must be some kind of mistake, but those who have been helped by the Black Bulls say otherwise, yelling that Asta from the Black Bulls helped them. Asta would then have heard his name and wonders why he did. Am I hearing things? Thinks Asta. Yami would then tap him on the shoulder saying, "Come on kid, they're calling for you. Go." He would then throw Yami would then throw Asta in the air as he says this, and the crowd notices him flying over their heads as he then lands on the podium, like, the area where Yuno is, and he squats down just right, managing not to ruin his body because he's still injured. And then he stands up looking at Yami as he yells, "What the hell, Captain? You know I'm still injured, right?" Everyone would then be impressed that he seemingly landed like that with no magic because they didn't sense any, and the girls are going crazy for both of them because, two brothers looking awesome. Yuno would then say, "So, it seems like you made it, Asta." "Yeah, seems like it. But truth be told, I'd rather be training right now." "Of course you would," thinks Julius. Julius would then introduce the two boys, saying that they had joined the squads recently but made very awesome achievements, especially Asta from the Black Bulls. And some people kind of recognize Asta and they get impressed. But this is when Seke yells, calling them like commoners from the crowd, saying that Asta is just a nobody with no magic. Asta would then scratch his head thinking, sometimes I hate this world. These people are so obsessed with magic. Sometimes I'm starting to rethink being the Wizard King at this point. The crowd would then start to doubt them, kind of booing a bit, saying commoners should not be magic knights. What? They're just peasants. That kid has no magic? Then he definitely cheated somehow. This is when Yuno bursts with mana, telling Bell to go full power, which surprises everyone as he then points at Asta. Then he shoots a huge attack at Asta, who takes out his Demon Slayer, just barely, but then Yuno's magic would be cut apart as Asta then sheathes his sword back in his grimoire, shocking everyone. "What the hell was that?" yells Yuno. "That was a quick draw technique. What else would it be?" says Asta. Julius would then be smiling like crazy, telling everyone that they cannot doubt these two's powers now. I mean, they are pretty awesome, and yeah, clearly they have earned their ranks. Everyone would then definitely agree, seeing as they saw how Asta used this sword, and even though it was too fast to keep up, that's what makes it amazing. Asta would then point into the crowd at Seke, saying, "Maybe I don't have magic, but at least I'm needed in my team. I haven't heard of any of your achievements yet." Everyone would then laugh at Seke as Yuno says that was really immature. "Hey, he started it," says Asta. "That's even worse," says Yuno. "But seriously though, we really made it, haven't we?" "Yeah, it's kind of scary how far we come," says Asta. The two would then smile at the crowd, waving at everyone, and that is where I'm going to leave it off. What was that weird power released from Asta that was so strong that even made the queen of the witches, shake in fear? How does the Eye of the Midnight Sun plan on attacking now? And how much stronger will Asta get? You're gonna have to find it out in the next part, because like I said, this is where I'm leaving it off. Welcome to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I tried my best to make it as fun as possible. I'm trying to write different series different ways, because I've realized that honestly, the same approach I take to what if Deku, what ifs, Deku what ifs, is not the same that I should take with Black Clover, because it's different. Black Clover is just more fast paced, it's just different. It's the same with Dragon Ball. I'm just gonna have to do it differently if I ever bring it back, and if I ever do Attack on Titan what ifs, same with that. So yeah, I made this extra long just for you guys, so you better hit that subscribe button and like this, and share this with anybody else who might like what ifs. Keep your notifications up, because sometimes YouTube does not really alert you when I post, so hit the notification bell. And the next video will be what if Naruto was Arthur. And yeah, I will see you guys next time.